Hey there, let's talk about the Yalta Conference, the second of the major conferences from World War II. The Yalta Conference is going to take place in Yalta, which is a city located within the Soviet Union. Now, this is in Stalin's territory, and as a result of this, Stalin kind of was buff and ready to go for this one. He was not going to be taking any punches. He was willing to start packing some punches and throwing them his way during the Yalta Conference because it was located within his country. He was very aggressive during the Yalta Conference, so we're going to see that kind of coming through throughout this conference as we talk about it. During the Yalta Conference, it also became increasingly clear to both Roosevelt with the United States and Churchill with the United Kingdom that Stalin cannot be trusted. And the reason for this is, even though the war is not over, Stalin is starting to support these communist groups in Eastern Europe, trying to establish these satellite states in Eastern Europe, which is clearly something that both the United States and the United Kingdom do not want. So they're realizing that you can say one thing to Stalin, and Stalin might say something to you, but you cannot trust Stalin. And this is clear to the United States right now. Germany at this time is nearly defeated, and everyone realizes that Germany is about to lose the war, and that these three countries are going to be the major countries, the major powers in the world at the end of the war. Allies are planning a Normandy invasion at this time. Remember, previously in the Tehran conference, they discussed the date for the Second Front. Now they've actually got the invasion planned and they know where it's happening. There's just a matter of actually launching that invasion. And the Japanese are realizing that Japan is going to be invaded if the pace of the war in the Pacific keeps going in the way it is going. At this point, it is just the Americans fighting in the Pacific theater. Again, remember previously, Roosevelt had tried to talk Stalin into getting involved in the invasion of Japan, starting a second front with Japan. Stalin, remember, refused to do that until the Nazis were defeated. At this point, though, the Japanese are really buffing up their perimeters, making sure that they can do their best to repel an American invasion, because the Japanese believe an American invasion is coming. Now, the issue of Germany. What do we do with Germany? First and foremost, we must disarm Germany. Do not let them have any weapons. Get rid of their military. We cannot trust the German. Number two, demilitarize. Get rid of their weapons. Get rid of their military. We cannot trust them. We will be established there. We will protect them. They will not protect themselves. The Germans are too much of a threat if we let them have weapons, if we let them have a military. Additionally, we need to denazify the living bejesus out of Germany. Get rid of this Nazi ideology. Get rid of anything talking about Hitler and his cult of personality. It needs to go away. We're going to disarm, demilitarize, and denazify Germany, because that is the only way to move Germany forward. They're also going to talk about the division of Germany into 4 temporary zones. And these 4 temporary zones are going to be split based upon individual countries that are going to be having the control of this one. France, although they are not a part of the Yalta Conference, they're not part of the Big Three because their country was invaded and taken over. France is still a major player in Europe. The French are going to be given the southern part of Germany right along the French border. The United States is going to get that large portion on the bottom, as well as a tiny little annex up in the British territory, as you can see right through here. And then Eastern Germany is going to be controlled by the Soviets. Okay, it's pretty much where their troops are coming in. It's a geographic thing when it comes to talking about the United Kingdom getting the area closest to the United Kingdom, the French getting the area closest to France, the United States getting the bottom area right through there because they're already going to be going down there. Additionally, that is going to be the stronghold of the Nazi party in Germany, that area down around Munich where the United States is going to be actually occupying as well. So we got that going on right there. And then if you notice in that giant mass of red, we're going to see a bunch of different colors, and that is going to be the city of Berlin. They're also going to agree at this time to split Berlin up among the 4 because Berlin is the capital. Even though it's located entirely in Eastern Germany, we're going to split it up. There's going to be an Allied Controlled Commission, the ACC, and that is going to be the governing body of Germany. And this is going to be put up in part and controlled by different representatives from each of those 4 countries, the USSR, the United States, the British, and the French right through there. Lastly, Stalin is stating that he wants reparations. He wants $20 billion in reparations for the Germans that the Germans have to pay, and he wants half of that to go to the USSR. Remember that during the early stages of the war, roughly a third of the Soviet Union was occupied by the Nazis. Lots of damage was done. Stalin wants money to pay back what had happened. We're going to talk about Poland right through here. They're going to agree that the eastern border of Poland should be the Curzon line, which you can see on this map right here. This was a line that was designed during the end of World War I when it came to marking out territory for the Poles, because the Poles after World War I kind of just went on a bit of a burner and just kind of started taking over some territory. The League of Nations stepped in and kind of stopped that. But they're going to agree to set up Poland's border right through here and then move some of it back as well into Germany through here. The western border is going to be Ode-Nias line, which you again can see right here on this map. So they're going to basically take Poland and give Poland the same amount of land, but they're going to move that land to the west, and therefore the USSR can gain some territory as well. Stalin is incredibly happy about this. He's going to be getting a large chunk of land, which is something he wants. This is going to help Stalin expand that buffer zone that he talks about. He's also going to make a promise, and that promise is for free elections in Poland. Eastern Europe, we're going to be talking about. Not only in Poland does Stalin promise these free elections, but Stalin's going to promise free elections throughout Eastern Europe. And this is a major victory for the United States and the United Kingdom. The United States and the United Kingdom realized that this was going to be a hard thing to get Stalin to agree to. When Stalin agrees to this, they realize that they have won the day when it comes to this. This was a major issue for the United States and the United Kingdom, making sure that Eastern Europe will not become communist satellite states, and instead that they will have the ability for free election. Stalin agrees to recognize their right to do that. When it comes to talking about Japan, Stalin is agreeing to fight with Japan at this date because he realizes that the war with the Nazis is almost over. He's realizing that he can actually afford to send some troops over to Japan. Also, Stalin's thinking about after the war. He might gain some territory as well as some influence if he does this. He's going to agree, though, that he will fight with the Japanese and declare war on Japan, but he's going to get something in return. He wants the South Sakhalin Islands and the Kuril Islands, which are these two right through here, controlled by the Japanese, right off the border of the USSR on the east. Stalin's going to decide, if I fight with the Japanese, these islands, they're going to become mine. When it comes to the United Nations, the USSR agrees to join this organization, which they agreed to found in the previous Tehran conference. So the USSR originally was not going to be a part of this. They're agreeing that they will join. They're going to establish a Security Council that's going to have 5 permanent members on that. Each of the 3 countries that are forming the United Nations, the United States, the USSR, and the United Kingdom, will be permanent members on here, and they're going to have a veto power. So they can step in and veto any resolutions by the Security Council and state that they will not happen. This is kind of their way of saying that we're going to have some power. We're establishing this. We get the power. And there's going to be, as I said, these 3 permanent members of the US, the USSR, and the United Kingdom. They're going to make it 5, though. The United Kingdom is going to invite France. They're going to get another country on there. And the USSR is going to invite China, that large country in Asia at this time period, currently at this date being occupied by the Japanese. However, there's also a lot of communist forces really active in China at this time. Stalin realizes that. Stalin's kind of thinking about some potential opportunities for him if he gets China involved. And this is going to be the way it is even up till this day in 2020. These 5 countries still do have permanent veto power on the UN Security Conference. The key outcomes of the Yalta Conference, number 1, is there is an agreement on the United Nations and how to set up the United Nations, what that's going to look like, and who is going to be a part of that. The Soviets are going to agree to join the Pacific Theater. That was something they previously had stated they were not willing to do. They're willing to do it at this point. This is a major victory for the United States, particularly. Not a good thing for the Japanese, but it's going to help the Americans ultimately out right through here. There's going to be a declaration for a liberated Europe, which helps, or which establishes the free elections in all European countries. Stalin is going to agree to these free elections, something the United States and the United Kingdom was not so certain was going to happen. That is all for now. Questions, comments, put them below. I will see you later.